How's it going, everyone? Welcome to PT Topic. My name is Patrick Liu, student physical therapist at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. And the topic for today is going to be a recap of how my first semester went at PT school. So before we get started, please make sure you put a like down below, subscribe if you haven't already, click that notification bell to receive updates of my future videos, and comment down below about your thoughts throughout this video, at the end of this video, and of course, I'd love it if you can share the video too. All right, so to get started, I will say that grad school versus undergrad, completely different experiences. Now, the reason I say this is because I'm a student who struggles with learning compared to other students. Some students, they may be able to read the textbook or read the PowerPoint slides or replay the lecture about 2 to 3 times and they have a great grasp of it. For me, it takes about 4 to 6 times, 4 to 8 times just to go through that information and material, and it takes me a lot longer to understand what is going on. And I was also a part of a myriad of extracurricular opportunities and service projects because I've logged over 2,500 hours of community service and over 1,500 hours of extracurricular involvement during my time at Weber State University in Ogden, Utah. And coming into physical therapy school, I was thinking, all right, well, I was able to time manage, do well academically, and succeed in my other opportunities with service projects and with my extracurricular opportunities. And I figured, oh, once I become a student, a full-time student at that, without other obligations or other distractions, as some people would say, I would really succeed. But boy, I was so wrong. When I came into it, anatomy, we just got hit with a fire hydrant of information of knowledge during the second week. And physiology, it was really intense too, because I felt like that was a combination of my pharmacology class, cell biology class, actual physiology class, exercise physiology class, and a few other classes combined together for a physiology class. And needless to say, those are just the two hardest classes, in my opinion, of your first semester in PT school. That it's just wild that we had to learn so much information in such a short amount of time and in such depth and detail as the professors wanted. An example of this would be in my anatomy class, my professor, Dr. Gill, she likes to say, visualize, don't memorize. For our cadaver labs, we were able to identify the different muscles in varying positions. So for example, the muscle that's kind of along right over here would be my flexor carpi ulnaris. And when you reflect the muscle backwards, it's like, well, we have to see it in this weird view compared to seeing it up front or posteriorly. Now, they challenge you to locate everything at different angles, and sometimes it could be really stressful. And with our physiology class, not only did we have to know like what hormone will bind to what receptor, but it's also what actions will it occur for a systemic effect. So I'm not going to get too much into the details of that. I'll save that for once you all take those classes. Needless to say, it was rough and intense. The things that I'd recommend based off of my experience of how intensive and overloaded it is just basically two main things. The first main thing is suck up your pride and make sure you seek out help. Now, I know for some people, they may think, oh, well, if I seek out tutoring services or if I reach out to help for the teaching assistant or GA, that or even talk to the professors, I'm going to be seen as stupid or incompetent, etc., etc. I'm going to tell you that is complete bullshit. Yes, it's complete bullshit because it doesn't matter what background or what situation you come from. Coming from a student who has sought and utilized tutoring services ever since undergrad, like I remember for chemistry, I would always talk with my chemistry tutor. Shout outs to Austin. Thanks for helping me out with chemistry and such. I'd always seek their services because I felt like, well, if I don't understand the material, I need to seek outside help to comprehend it and grasp it. And I kept that same mindset coming into grad school. And I found that that was really helpful for me and for cohort members when they realized, oh, shoot, I need to ask for help whenever I don't understand something, whether that involves talking with the teaching assistants, the graduate assistants, their mentors, or even the professors at times. Now, I will say, the professors are not always helpful because sometimes some people are too smart for their own good. It happens, but that's why you rely on other people, like even your cohort members. Like if you know someone who has a better understanding of the material compared to you do, then I feel like it's a lot better for you to approach for them and ask for their help. Because there is this quote that I really liked. Can't remember off the top of my head who it was from, but they basically said the one who asks the questions now may be a fool for that moment, but for the rest of their life, they will be knowledgeable in that aspect that they played the fool for. Whereas someone who is too prideful or too ignorant to take the role of the fool and ask those questions, they will be ignorant for the rest of their life or realize what their shortcomings are to overcome them. So once you get into grad school, make sure you utilize help and seek those services out, because anatomy, physiology, intro to physical therapy, uh, research methods, they're all going to be really difficult. And if you're someone who finds those topics not as difficult and stuff, good for you. You're great. But for some students who struggle, similar like I have back in even high school and undergrad, I hopefully these tips will be helpful for y'all. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was mental health. I feel like mental health is not talked about as much as it should be, and there's still a stigma associated behind it. Now, for me, I struggle a lot with an inferiority complex. This typically involved with me doubting my abilities, or whenever someone talked about, oh, I got like a 100% on this exam and everything. And then for me, it's like, okay, maybe I got an 83 on the exam. And that person was bagging on themselves down saying, well, I could have gotten some extra credit points if your program allows for extra credit points, that they basically are so hard on themselves. But then when they ask me, oh, what did you get for your scores? For me, I'm like, well, I got an 83. And for that person to say, oh, well, an 83 is not bad and everything. For me, hearing that perspective, thinking, well, you said you got 100 and you're bagging on yourself, and you're saying an 83. For me, it's fine. For me, I just find that very toxic and very belittling. That it's kind of like, well, why am I in this program when this person who's getting these scores is kind of babying me down? Or to me, it also seems, and this is not the intent of the person who asked for my scores, is but to me, it seems very condescending at times, where it's kind of like, well, you're not going to be as good as me because I view you as someone who gets an 83, whereas I'm someone who gets that. Now, I will say this: the person who asked me for my scores and everything, I'm not going to berate them or do anything like that. I'm just speaking from my perspective of how it feels to me. That it feels very degrading, and it really impacts me, and it even puts me in a depressive spiral at times. And with that being said, I typically go to the counseling services provided at my university because it's free. And for those who are able to seek out counseling services for help because of your insurance coverage and stuff, I highly recommend it, because instead of me being stuck in that depressive spiral, instead I was able to talk to someone about it and help me understand my perceptives and my thoughts of, okay, well, why is it that I'm coming to this perception that this person's belittling me? Because I know for a fact it's not because of that person. It's all more internal. So it just kind of helps me deconstruct what I can do to better improve my perspective about that situation and moving forward with it and processing what my feelings are on this matter. And additionally, they also helped me figure out some coping mechanisms as well as setting healthy boundaries. Because if people are not respecting your boundaries that you're setting, it kind of says a lot about that person not really being that great of a person, and you're better off going to someone else who will respect your boundaries. Whenever someone comes up with the mindset thinking, oh, well, I don't want to seem like this, I don't want to seem like this, well, I'm just going to say at the end of this day, no one really cares about that stuff. Like that perception of how you want to appear and everything, I'd say that doesn't really matter, because you being yourself and you setting your boundaries, you're going to attract those who will respect you and will help challenge you to become a better person compared to who you were yesterday. And that is a lot more important than to be thinking, well, I want to be seen as this thing, I want to be seen as this thing, and having your boundaries stepped upon and kind of having yourself being disrespected by other people. Now, I'm not saying this is the 100% scenario where, oh, well, if you don't talk about your boundaries or you just agree to stuff, then you're deemed as someone who is or punitive and such. That's not my intention at all. I'm just saying that it's better to set your boundaries and being vocal about them, and then learning how to talk to someone else about your feelings whenever you have those negative thoughts. Anyways, I hope you all found that quick recap really helpful. And my goal for this year is to post out more videos than I have before. Now, I can't make any promises because spring semester is going to be a lot harder compared to my fall semester, because my course load involves taking a analysis of the human movement, which is basically biomechanics and kinesiology combined together, taking neuroanatomy, taking a research methods class, exercise physiology, and pathophysiology. So it's going to be a really stressful load, but I will do my best to put as much videos as I can and as kind of frequently as possible. Anyways, thanks again for everything. Like if you haven't already, share the video, comment if you haven't commented already, and subscribe and click that notification bell. Thank you all. Have a good one. Peace out.